What if the greatest engineering secrets of the Roman Empire were not lost in war, but buried in water? In this video, we explore how Roman harbors survived violent seas for 2,000 years, how their concrete grew stronger underwater instead of crumbling, how aqueducts stretched across mountains with impossible precision, how water plunged into valleys and rose again through pressure alone, and how vast underground drainage systems still function beneath Rome today. They mastered marine concrete, inverted siphons, pressure control, mineral buildup, urban water distribution, and hidden spring networks without modern chemistry or instruments. But here's the real question: if Rome understood water this deeply, why did the world forget how they did it? How did ancient Romans engineer vast aqueducts with precise gradients that defied primitive tools, supplying empires for centuries? Imagine channels carved by hands long gone, defying gravity to quench empires. Yet how did Romans master such hydraulic precision without modern tech? Rome's glory demanded endless water for baths, fountains, and millions. Aqueducts spanned hundreds of miles, engineered to slake an insatiable imperial thirst. High in remote hills, Romans tapped pristine springs, diverting flows through hidden channels, a feat requiring uncanny knowledge of terrain and hydrology, maintaining a precise 0.5% gradient over vast distances, without lasers or levels. How did they achieve this hydraulic harmony against rugged landscapes? Towering arches bridged valleys and ravines, defying earthquakes and time. Yet their hydraulic seals remain an engineering puzzle, leak-proof for ages. Miles of hidden siphons and tunnels inverted pressure laws. Romans harnessed physics intuitively, channeling water uphill in ways that baffle modern minds. With rudimentary levels and sighting tools, they plotted flawless routes. Did secret mathematical lore or divine inspiration guide their hydraulic blueprints? 11 major aqueducts converged on Rome, delivering 1 million cubic meters daily, a hydraulic web sustaining power, yet shrouded in construction mysteries. Centuries of flow left mineral clues, hinting at self-cleaning designs. How did they prevent clogs in this perpetual hydraulic symphony? Lost treatises by Vitruvius tease methods, but gaps persist. Did elite guilds guard hydraulic secrets that propelled Rome's aqueous dominance today? These silent sentinels challenge us. Was it genius, geometry, or something unearthly that birthed such enduring hydraulic wonders? As debates rage, Roman aqueducts endure as hydraulic enigmas, inviting us to decode the ingenuity that watered history's greatest empire. Dive deeper into antiquity's secrets, subscribe for more revelations, share your engineering theories in comments, and await our next hydraulic puzzle. How did the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, possibly the most legendary ancient wonder, achieve impossible vertical irrigation in a scorching desert? A colossal green paradise suspended in midair, watered in endless abundance amid merciless desert. How did Babylonians engineer such a hydraulic miracle? Built to please a homesick queen, the Hanging Gardens rose in tiers, each level a self-sustaining oasis fed by ingenious water technology. Unlike Rome's distant springs, Babylon drew directly from the Euphrates. Yet lifting water hundreds of feet upward remained an engineering enigma. Ancient texts hint at screw-like devices raising water continuously. Did Babylonians invent the Archimedes screw centuries before Archimedes himself? Gravity-fed cascades nourished every terrace, yet sustaining constant flow across such height demanded hidden pumps or pressure systems lost to time. Vast underground network of tunnels and cisterns stored and pressurized river water. How did they maintain pressure without iron or valves? Impervious bitumen-lined bricks resisted leaks for centuries, yet the sheer volume and height of water movement challenges modern hydraulic understanding. Elite engineers guarded the gardens' secrets, possibly employing counterweights, pulleys, or even early hydraulic rams unknown to later civilizations. Foreign trees and flowers flourished year-round, demanding precise soil moisture and drainage, a hydraulic balancing act in vertical paradise. No definitive foundations remain. Debate rages whether gardens existed at Babylon or Nineveh, yet hydraulic descriptions endure as tantalizing clues. If real, the Hanging Gardens represent humanity's boldest hydraulic ambition, defying nature to create vertical Eden in the cradle of civilization. Were they myth or masterpiece? The gardens' hydraulic secrets, lost lifts, hidden pressures, still beckon us to unravel one of antiquity's greatest enigmas. How did the harbors of the Roman Empire withstand centuries of crashing waves, while modern concrete crumbles in mere decades? Along the Mediterranean coast, structures built by ancient Roman engineers still stand firm, piers, breakwaters, and harbor walls locked against the sea. Their secret lay in a unique mixture of volcanic ash, lime, and seawater. When combined, these elements triggered slow chemical reactions within the concrete, forming rare crystalline minerals such as aluminous tobermorite. Rather than weakening over time, the material grew stronger as seawater seeped into microscopic cracks, initiating new mineral growth that effectively sealed the damage. Yet questions remain. How did Roman builders, without modern chemistry, refine a formula so precisely adapted to marine environments? Was it deliberate experimentation, or knowledge passed down and later forgotten? And why did such durable techniques fade from construction practices for nearly 2 millennia? But even today, the full story behind this resilient material remains partially concealed, inviting us to reconsider what the ancient world truly understood. What do you think? Could forgotten engineering wisdom still shape our future? Share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more mysteries that challenge history itself. How can a wall of concrete, poured into the sea 2,000 years ago, still stand firm against the tide? Along the coast of ancient Italy, at the harbor of Portus Cosa, Roman engineers constructed a massive breakwater designed to shield ships from relentless Mediterranean waves. Instead of modern cement, they blended lime with volcanic ash and fragments of rock, pouring the mixture directly into seawater within wooden forms. Over time, something remarkable occurred inside the hardened mass. As seawater filtered through tiny cracks, chemical reactions formed rare crystalline minerals that reinforced the structure from within. Rather than eroding, the concrete appeared to strengthen, its internal fabric subtly evolving under constant wave pressure. Yet uncertainties remain. Did Roman builders intentionally design a material that improved with exposure to saltwater? Or did centuries of quiet chemical transformation reveal a property they never fully understood? And why was such marine durability largely forgotten after the empire declined? But even today, the breakwater keeps its deeper secret, leaving us with enduring questions. What do you think? Share your thoughts below. How did an artificial harbor built on an open, wave-battered coast endure the Mediterranean for 2 millennia? At Caesarea Maritima, commissioned by Herod the Great in the 1st century BCE, Roman engineers attempted something unprecedented, constructing a massive deep water port where none had existed before. They lowered wooden forms into the sea and poured a mixture of lime, volcanic ash, and stone directly into the water. Against expectation, the concrete hardened. Over time, seawater seeped into microscopic fractures, triggering chemical reactions that formed rare minerals within the structure. Instead of collapsing under salt and surf, parts of the submerged harbor grew increasingly resilient. Yet questions linger. How did builders transport vast quantities of volcanic ash across the Mediterranean? Did they fully grasp the chemical processes unfolding within their creation? And why did sections of the harbor later fail, despite this remarkable material? Even now, beneath shifting sands and rolling waves, the harbor guards its deeper secret, leaving us to wonder what ancient knowledge still lies submerged. What do you think? Share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more mysteries that challenge history itself. What secret lies within the quiet waters of Italy's volcanic coast, where ancient concrete seems to grow stronger with time? In the sheltered curve of Bay of Pozzuoli, near the ancient port of Puteoli, Roman engineers experimented with a material unlike anything the modern world would rediscover for centuries. They combined lime with fine volcanic ash from nearby hills, creating a hydraulic mixture that could harden underwater. As seawater filtered through the submerged structures, chemical reactions unfolded slowly within the concrete. Over decades, rare crystalline minerals formed inside microscopic cracks, reinforcing the material from within rather than weakening it. Yet uncertainty remains. Did Roman builders intentionally harness these long-term reactions, or did experience guide them without full understanding of the chemistry at work? And why did such resilient marine techniques fade after the empire's decline, only to be studied again in modern laboratories? Even today, the waters of Pozzuoli conceal part of the story, leaving us to question how much ancient innovation still waits to be understood. What do you think? What if an entire harbor system still breathes beneath the sea, its engineering concealed by shifting tides and volcanic forces? Along the coast near Bay, once a luxurious retreat of the Roman elite, lies a submerged complex of docks, channels, and concrete structures now resting below the surface. Built in a region shaped by volcanic activity, this harbor was engineered to function within a landscape that constantly rose and fell due to bradisism, slow ground movements caused by underground magma chambers. Roman builders adapted by constructing hydraulic concrete piers and water control systems capable of enduring both saltwater exposure and geological instability. Yet the contradictions remain. Did Roman engineers fully anticipate the long-term subsidence that would eventually sink parts of Bay beneath the sea? Or were their hydraulic designs meant to counter forces they only partially understood? And how precisely did they manage water flow in a harbor built atop such volatile ground? Even today, the submerged ruins of Bay whisper of lost calculations and hidden adaptations, leaving us to wonder how advanced their hydraulic knowledge truly was. What do you think? How does a 2,000-year-old concrete dome survive rainstorms without collapsing under the weight of water? In the heart of Rome stands the Pantheon, crowned by its vast coffered dome and the open oculus at its center. Through this circular opening, sunlight streams in and so does rain. There is no glass, no visible covering, yet the marble floor rarely floods. Subtle architectural precision guides the solution. The interior floor is gently sloped, almost imperceptibly, toward a network of small drainage holes set within carefully fitted stone slabs. Rainwater flows quietly across the surface and disappears into hidden channels beneath the structure. Even the dome's coffers reduce weight while helping manage moisture distribution. But questions persist. How did Roman engineers calculate the precise curvature and drainage gradient without modern instruments? Was the system designed purely by observation or supported by lost technical knowledge? And how has it endured centuries of shifting ground and weather? Even today, the Pantheon's silent drainage system performs its task unseen, leaving us to wonder what other secrets remain embedded in its stone. What do you think? Share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more mysteries that challenge history itself. Beneath the roaring crowds of ancient Rome, what hidden system carried away the blood, rain, and debris from the arena floor? Under the towering arches of the Colosseum lies a complex network of corridors and channels known as the hypogeum. While most visitors see only the exposed stone and reconstructed passages, early phases of the structure reveal a sophisticated drainage system embedded below the arena. Slight gradients directed water toward underground conduits connected to Rome's wider sewer network. Rain entering through the open top, along with runoff from the stands, was channeled away through carefully planned outlets. Even the arena floor, once layered with sand, likely allowed fluids to percolate downward into hidden drains. Yet uncertainties remain. How precisely was this system integrated during different construction phases? Did engineers anticipate the immense volume of water during storms or naval reenactments once held in the arena? And how much of the original drainage infrastructure has vanished over time? Even now, beneath layers of stone and history, the Colosseum conceals parts of its hydraulic logic, inviting us to reconsider what Roman engineering truly mastered. What kind of vision does it take to carve a city's lifeline beneath its streets, long before modern engineering existed? Beneath Rome flows the Cloaca Maxima, one of the oldest and most enduring drainage systems in the world. Traditionally attributed to the early Roman kings, its original purpose may not have been sewage at all, but the draining of marshland between the city's hills. Massive stone blocks were carefully fitted without mortar, forming vaulted tunnels strong enough to withstand centuries of floods and urban expansion. Over time, the channel was expanded, reinforced, and integrated into Rome's growing network of baths, fountains, and aqueducts. Yet the earliest phase of its design remains uncertain. How advanced were the surveying techniques that allowed such precise gradients? Was the original structure modest and later monumentalized, or conceived from the beginning on a grand scale? And how much of the earliest construction still lies hidden beneath later layers? Even now, as water continues to pass through its ancient stone corridors, the Cloaca Maxima guards the details of its first blueprint, leaving us to question how Rome's engineers truly began. High above the Roman countryside, silent arches stretch toward the horizon, but what happened to the branches that once carried water beyond them? Rome's vast aqueduct network, including monumental systems like the Aqua Claudia and Aqua Marcia, transported millions of liters of fresh water into the city each day. Yet historical records and archaeological traces suggest that numerous secondary branches once extended from these main lines, diverting water toward villas, gardens, baths, and industrial districts. Some of these channels are now fragmentary or entirely absent from the visible landscape. In certain areas, faint cuttings in stone or buried conduits hint at diversions no longer documented in surviving texts. Why do some distribution lines appear in inscriptions but leave little structural evidence? Were certain branches dismantled in late antiquity, repurposed, or simply lost beneath later construction? And how accurately do surviving maps reflect the true complexity of Rome's hydraulic grid? Even today, gaps remain in the blueprint of Rome's water empire, leaving us to wonder how much of its network still lies concealed underground. What do you think? Share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more mysteries that challenge history itself. How did one of Rome's grandest aqueducts rise in stages, each phase layered with ambition and uncertainty? Stretching across the countryside in towering arches, the Aqua Claudia was begun under Emperor Caligula and completed during the reign of Claudius in the 1st century CE. Its route spanned rugged terrain, demanding bridges, tunnels, and precise gradients to maintain a steady water flow. Archaeological evidence reveals differences in masonry techniques, materials, and structural reinforcements along its length, suggesting multiple construction campaigns and later restorations. Some sections display refined stonework, while others hint at hurried repairs or design adjustments made mid-project, yet questions endure. Were these variations the result of political transitions, funding constraints, or unforeseen engineering challenges? did the original blueprint differ from what ultimately emerged across the landscape? And how much of what we see today reflects later imperial modifications rather than the initial vision? Even now, the arches of the Aqua Claudia cast long shadows over unanswered details of its creation, inviting us to reconsider how Rome built and rebuilt its lifelines. What do you think? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more mysteries that challenge history itself. How did an ancient aqueduct deliver water so pure that Romans praised it above all others? Completed in 144 BCE, the Aqua Marcia carried fresh water from distant mountain springs into the heart of Rome. Unlike many other aqueducts, its source lay high in the Apennines, where colder, clearer water flowed through carefully surveyed channels. Roman engineers designed settling tanks along the route to reduce sediment, while gradients were calculated with remarkable precision to prevent stagnation. Ancient writers described its water as cool and exceptionally clean, suggesting a deliberate effort to maintain quality from source to city. Yet uncertainties remain. How did engineers consistently monitor water purity across nearly 90 kilometers without modern testing tools? Were maintenance crews able to detect contamination before it reached public fountains? And how strictly were regulations enforced when private users tapped into the supply? Even now, the exact methods behind Rome's most celebrated water remain partially obscured, leaving us to question how advanced their understanding of water management truly was. How did a single spring, discovered over 2,000 years ago, continue to feed a city that would grow into an empire? In 19 BCE, the Aqua Virgo was constructed under the supervision of Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa to supply fresh water to Rome's baths and fountains. Unlike other aqueducts that drew from distant mountains, the Aqua Virgo relied on low-lying springs carefully captured through underground channels. Engineers designed a network of tunnels and settling basins to gather and filter the water before guiding it gently toward the city. Remarkably, its flow still feeds the iconic Trevi fountain today. Yet the origins of its precise source capture raise questions. How accurately were the spring lines mapped without modern hydrology? Did Roman surveyors fully understand the underground water table they were tapping into? And how did they ensure the flow remained steady despite seasonal changes and urban expansion? Even now, beneath Rome's streets, the Aqua Virgo's hidden pathways continue their silent course, leaving us to wonder how much of its original design remains concealed. How did Rome's earliest aqueduct carve a hidden path beneath the earth with such quiet precision? Constructed in 312 BCE, the Aqua Appia ran almost entirely underground, a deliberate choice to protect it from enemies and evaporation. Its tunnels stretched for over 16 kilometers, cut through tufa rock and guided by carefully calculated gradients that allowed water to flow steadily toward the city. Surveyors relied on simple instruments, levels, plumb lines, and sighting tools, yet the channel maintained a remarkably consistent slope. Vertical shafts were sunk at intervals, providing ventilation and access during excavation, yet the alignments still puzzle researchers. How were long, straight sections achieved beneath uneven terrain without modern mapping technology? Did separate excavation teams meet underground with exact accuracy, or were later corrections required? And how did engineers anticipate shifts in soil or stone over time? Even now, beneath Rome's modern streets, the Aqua Appia follows its ancient course in near silence, leaving us to question how its builders mastered alignment in a world without advanced instruments. How did Rome's highest aqueduct tame one of the muddiest rivers in central Italy? Completed in 52 CE under Emperor Claudius, the Aqua Annio Novus drew its supply from the Annio River, a source known for carrying heavy sediment after seasonal rains. Unlike spring-fed aqueducts, this system required deliberate sediment control. Engineers constructed large settling tanks, piscini limeri, along the route, allowing suspended particles to sink before the water continued toward Rome. Maintenance crews periodically cleared accumulated silt, while the channel's gradient was calibrated to reduce turbulence. Yet challenges remain difficult to reconstruct. How effective were these basins during floods, when the river ran thick with debris? Did sudden surges overwhelm the system, or were additional filtration methods once in place but later lost? And how frequently did workers descend into the aqueduct to remove buildup across its vast length? Even today, fragments of these settling chambers hint at a sophisticated but partially understood strategy, leaving us to question how Rome balanced engineering ambition with the unpredictable force of nature. How did a network of hidden springs sustain Rome's western districts long after the empire began to fade? In 109 CE, under Emperor Trajan, the Aqua Traiana was constructed to channel fresh water from a cluster of springs near Lake Bracciano into the city. Unlike aqueducts that relied on a single dominant source, this system drew from multiple spring heads, carefully gathered into underground conduits before merging into a main channel. Engineers sealed and protected these capture points with masonry chambers, ensuring steady flow and shielding the water from contamination. the aqueduct crossed valleys and lowlands, maintaining a subtle gradient that required precise surveying across uneven terrain. Yet the exact configuration of its spring network remains debated. How many individual sources fed the system at its peak? Were some later abandoned or rerouted during periods of repair? And how did Roman engineers measure seasonal variations across dispersed springs? Even today, fragments of its intake structures lie scattered across the landscape, leaving us to wonder how extensive and how carefully balanced this hidden water network once was. Why does the final stretch of a Roman aqueduct seem to fade into uncertainty just as it nears its destination? Built in 226 CE under Emperor Alexander Severus, the Aqua Alexandrina was designed to supply water to newly constructed baths on the eastern edge of Rome. Its route began at springs near modern Pantano Borghese and crossed open countryside on a series of brick-faced arches. Portions of these arcades still stand, marking a clear trajectory toward the city. Yet as the aqueduct approaches its terminal zone, the physical evidence becomes fragmentary. Some scholars suggest later rebuilding altered its course. Others believe parts were dismantled and reused in subsequent centuries. Was the final distribution basin located exactly where ancient texts imply, or did urban expansion shift its endpoint over time? Did repairs in late antiquity obscure the original layout, and how much of the aqueduct's closing section remains buried beneath modern development? Even today, the Aqua Alexandrina's last meters remain partly concealed, leaving us to question how Rome's final imperial aqueduct truly completed its journey. How much water once thundered across the soaring arches of southern France, and how precisely did its builders measure that flow? Rising above the Garden River, the Pont du Gard formed part of the aqueduct supplying the Roman colony of Nemesis. Built in the 1st century CE, its 3 tiers of limestone arches carried a narrow channel at the top, lined with waterproof mortar. The gradient was astonishingly subtle, only a few centimeters per kilometer, allowing gravity alone to guide the current over nearly 50 kilometers. Engineers calculated cross-sectional dimensions to balance volume and speed, preventing both stagnation and structural strain. Yet debates persist over its true hydraulic capacity. Did the channel deliver the maximum volume estimated by modern reconstructions, or was flow intentionally moderated? How did sediment buildup alter capacity over time? And without modern gauges, how did Roman surveyors verify consistent discharge across such distances? Even today, the Pont du Gard stands in quiet defiance of time, leaving us to wonder how accurately Rome mastered the mathematics of moving water. At the end of a 50-kilometer journey, how was the lifeblood of a Roman city divided with such quiet precision? In ancient Nemesis, modern-day Nims, water carried across valleys by the Pont du Gard arrived at a circular stone structure known as the Castellum Divisorium. This basin served as the city's distribution hub. Water entered through a central channel, slowed within the chamber, and was then redirected into multiple evenly spaced outlets leading to fountains, baths, and private homes. Subtle height differences between the openings regulated pressure, while overflow systems prevented surges. The design suggests careful planning and understanding not only of flow, but of urban demand, yet uncertainties remain. Were all the outlet channels used simultaneously, or did valves once control selective distribution? How was water pressure balanced during peak consumption? And what mechanisms, now lost, ensured equitable supply across districts? Even today, the Castellum's circular walls preserve only part of its hydraulic logic, leaving us to question how precisely Rome managed the final division of its most vital resource. How did Roman engineers send water plunging into a valley, only to make it rise again on the other side? In ancient Lugdunum, modern Lyon, 4 aqueducts once supplied the thriving settlement. Unlike many Roman systems that relied solely on steady gradients, these routes confronted deep ravines. To cross them, engineers employed inverted siphons, closed pipelines that carried water down one slope and forced it upward by pressure alone. Stone bridges supported rows of lead or ceramic pipes, and settling tanks stabilized the flow before descent. The pressure at the lowest points must have been immense, demanding precise calculations of height and pipe strength. Yet the details remain partly obscured. How did Roman builders determine safe pressure limits without modern gauges? What methods prevented pipe rupture or leakage over decades of use? And how were repairs conducted in such complex, high-stress sections? Even now, fragments of siphon bridges stand across the French landscape, quiet evidence of a hydraulic strategy that still challenges our understanding what secrets lie inside the ancient pipes that once carried water beneath the hills of Roman Gaul. The Gir Aqueduct, one of the 4 systems supplying Lugdunum, stretched over 80 kilometers, weaving through tunnels, bridges, and inverted siphons. In its most dramatic sections, engineers relied on tightly joined lead pipes to withstand immense hydraulic pressure as water descended into valleys and rose again on the opposite slope. Archaeological finds reveal stamped markings on some pipe fragments, possibly identifying workshops or officials responsible for production. The craftsmanship suggests careful calibration of thickness and diameter to prevent rupture under stress, yet questions remain unresolved. How did Roman builders balance the risks of pressure against the malleability of lead? Were certain alloys or treatments used to strengthen the pipework? And what maintenance routines kept leaks from compromising entire siphon systems? Even today, scattered remnants of this pipe network offer only partial answers, leaving us to wonder how Rome mastered both the science and the material limits of moving water. What do you think? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more mysteries that challenge history itself.